Welcome back, True Seeker. It is JFK's birthday. That is, if he were still alive today, JFK, the last president to be assassinated. Today, he would have turned 107 years old. May 29, 2024. There was speculation this morning we'd get the verdict in the New York versus Trump case. Now they're saying it could go on for a couple more days because there's so much confusion and the jury needs so much more instruction and things aren't clear. We're going to talk about why Thursday or maybe even Friday maybe making the most sense for this thing to wrap up. We'll get to why it matters, why Friday, the 152nd day of the year, 201 days after the Superior General's birthday, could be the right day. But what I want to talk about is just this collage of things that are coming together that we've been tracking nonstop since 2015. Again, just to remind you of everything with Trump and an ongoing storyline of a possible premature death, again, that's been foretold and scripted. When he was first campaigning back in 2015, 2016, you had the story of the Trump tombstone found in Central Park. The Trump tombstone found in Central Park. Shortly after that, you had John Hinckley released from federal lockdown, and then he was put into, I believe, like home arrest. John Hinckley is who shot Ronald Reagan, supposedly Ronald Reagan, the assassination he survived. So you had John Hinckley let out. And again, Donald Trump had these parallels to Reagan running on Make America Great Again. And then on November 5th, 2016, 3 days before the election that year, you had Trump supposedly avoid an assassination in Nevada. And that November 5th date will be the day of the election upcoming. Robert De Niro, who's big in the headlines right now because he was outside of the Trump courthouse yesterday. You might recall De Niro was speaking out against Trump back in 2015, 2016. And the point we were making back then is the same point I'm going to make right now. Robert De Niro is in the movie Taxi Driver. And if you've never seen Taxi Driver, he's a would-be assassin. He's thinking about killing a political candidate in New York. And that movie, his character, is based on the real-life assassin Arthur Bremer, who shot George Wallace on the campaign trail in 1972. 1972. That's the year Joe Biden became senator-elect. And then his wife and daughter died in a car crash days later. And then when he was 72 years old, his son died at 46, years before he became number 46. We were talking about where Bill Walton fits in with all this. The Celtic, who died the day the Celtics went to the finals when Joe Biden's Secret Service name is Celtic. And Bill Walton's birthday is upcoming. Remember the 5th of November, the day of the election. And if Bill Walton had lived, he would have lived to be 72 years old on the day of the election. Of course, in Gematria, President Biden, President Trump, Jesuit order, they all equal 72. We got the first Jesuit Pope on the 72nd day of the year. But there's just been all these different storylines going on for now 8+ years, hinting about some kind of greater assassination story coming. And in the time we've been tracking this, I mean, we were tracking this before the November 5th, 2016 assassination attempt supposedly happened on Trump. Again, there was never anything shown in the news, but it was a story we were told about how Trump avoided this assassination November 5th, 2016. But we were tracking it up to then. What are they doing with all this? The Robert De Niro Taxi Driver tributes, the John Hinckley release from prison, and then I believe he was put on house arrest. And I think it was the very beginning of this year, or like in March of this year, there was a headline earlier this year that Hinckley's all the way free now. And again, John Hinckley has the big crush on Jodie Foster, who's in Silence of the Lambs. It's a lot to explain, but there's been all these storylines over the years that are leading to a moment. And then there's the one like I have up on the screen. The Illuminati card game. If you don't know about the Illuminati card game, look into it. It's very interesting. It's a real thing. It's existed for decades. There is a card in there with Donald Trump's face, and that card has to do with political assassination. And the card is called Enough is Enough. That's the name of the card if you want to look this up. Illuminati card game, Enough is Enough card, Donald Trump. This headline right here is from many years ago. This headline I have up here is from the 44th day of the year, February 13th, 2017. And again, Enough is Enough has that gematria of 78. Donald Trump is about to turn 78 years old on June 14th. Trump terminology from tarot cards, Trump cards. There's 78 tarot cards in the deck. The Kennedy family has the Kennedy curse connected to political assassinations, JFK and RFK. The surname Kennedy has that gematria 78. We've talked many times about the significance of the way RFK Jr. got into this race, how it paid tribute to the death of his father and also his uncle. And again, I guess it's fair to bring up that point. Again, JFK died 144 days from meeting with the Pope. RFK pronounced dead at 1:44 in the morning. RFK Jr. got in the race exactly 144 days after the Superior General's birthday, the leader of the Jesuits. He got in the race when he filed his paperwork April 5th, 2023. That was 144 days after Arturo Sosa's November 12th birthday. Remember, in Gematria, Jesuit order equals 144. Kennedy curse equals 144. The United States of America, 144. In the case of this year's election, November 5th is 144 days after Trump's June 14th birthday. Just like how he avoided a political assassination, supposedly November 5th, 2016, 144 days after his birthday, 8 years ago. So, again, so many things pointing to the significance of Donald Trump turning 78 years old. When Joe Biden said enough is enough after the insurrection, calling out Trump, he used the same phrase right from the Illuminati card game. When Joe Biden did that, Joe Biden was 78 years old at the time. Joe Biden used the exact phrase. Joe Biden, 78 at the time. He turned 78 right before the election. November 20th, 2020, the day Joe Biden turned 78. Born November 20th, 1942. Again, Joe Biden born on RFK's birthday. RFK turned 17 the day Joe Biden was born. Not RFK Jr., but his father, RFK, who was assassinated in 68. So, here, let me make sure. Okay, yeah, we're good. We are broadcasting. By the way, before I go any further, a lot of people will still come by and ask and say, hey, what happened to TFR? How come you're not doing TFR on Wednesday nights? You guys, we'd still be doing TFR, but I finally got locked all the way out of my account on TFR, so I can't do TFR anymore. I was the last host on the radio network who still had access to do the daily show. And it was weird because Lucky, who had the show before me, she called me days before, and she said, do you know you're the only person who can still log in on TFR? None of us can broadcast. And I announced that on the very last episode of TFR we did, that Lucky reached out to me. And then strangely enough, the very next week, my login no longer worked. So I was locked out as well. So that's why we haven't been doing TFR. And I do intend to get back to at least one weekly show like TFR. It might be a bit before we get back on that schedule. But for the time being, I will just continue to put out content when I can, which is pretty much every day, at least once a day. So anyhow, snapping back to the topic at hand. Just older things too about the Trump "Enough is Enough" card. You might recall Jimmy Kimmel doing his show, broadcasting from the Masonic Temple of Hollywood. He pulled out the "Enough is Enough" line. This was years ago. This was August 2017. Jimmy Kimmel did this the day before Robert De Niro's birthday, and we'll come back to Robert De Niro and why he was really outside of the courthouse yesterday, 81 days before his 81st birthday, when Joe Biden supposedly beat Donald Trump with 81 million votes. So There's been so many headlines. Here's a headline from May 29, 2019, 5 years ago today. Article by C.J. Atkins. Enough is enough. It's time to impeach Donald Trump. Again, the point is, it's not an accident that this phrase has been used over, all over the Los Angeles Times with regards to Trump. Enough is enough. These are things we've been talking about for years. Time magazine just went with the word enough in an article about Trump. Donald Trump Jr. used the line, enough is enough with this bullshit, he said. Again, that's the one born on the 201st day of Trump's age and who recently lost his mother in the big Jesuit ritual, and then his mother was buried on the 201st day of the year. Biden and Trump have lost family members in these 201 rituals. Again, Inauguration Day is 20/1, the 201st day of the nation's age. Big numbers with the Jesuits. That's who's putting these scripts together, which makes a lot of sense because you consider we're talking about this Illuminati card game. The Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, who died in history 201 days after the anniversary of the Illuminati's establishment. Order of Illuminati, what he called it, has the gematria of 201, like the Jesuit order, and the list goes on. But yeah, enough is enough. Big time pattern. And anyhow, let's go through, a lot of the headlines here. We'll talk about the Sam Alito thing too. It's another perfect ritual. They've been using Sam Alito for a lot of big rituals in recent years. Him saying he will not, recuse himself from the Supreme Court. It's paying tribute to when he became a member of the Supreme Court back when Bush put him in office. We'll get to how it all fits together, but again, today would have been JFK's 107th birthday if he were still alive. His full name, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, has the gematria of 107. If you're new here, gematria, simple practice of coding numbers into words. A, B, C is 1, 2, 3, up to Z, the 26 letters, 26. You can take it with just the alphabetic order. You can also take it with the alphabetic order and numerology applied. For example, shooting with the alphabetic order is 107. When you apply numerology to each letter, you get a smaller value. Shooting is 44. JFK was president number 35, but he was the 44th term president. 44, a very fateful number connected to shootings all throughout history. That Daily Mail article we just looked at with Enough is Enough and the Illuminati card game about Trump a prediction for a future assassination, that article was from February 13th, the 44th day of the year. Again, the first president to die in office died on April 4th, 44. Long, fateful pattern is 44. It involves MLK and so much more. But JFK's name had the 107 connection. Again, like shooting. Now, this 107th birthday, you might recall parallels between Trump and Kennedy. He released all those secret documents when he became president. Trump did about the Kennedy assassination. You might recall Melania was the first to wear baby blue at Inauguration Day in 2016, the first since Jackie Kennedy. So they've been drawing parallels between Trump and Kennedy. Today on JFK's birthday, the speculation this morning was they were going to wrap up the court case. It has to do with an affair. JFK was known for having some affairs, cheating on Jackie Kennedy. There's a conspiracy theory out there that it was Jackie Kennedy who shot JFK all along. Anyhow, and let's not forget that they lost their child August 9th, the day leaving 144 days left in the year, right before he was assassinated on November 22nd. Again, 144 days from meeting with the Pope. But yeah, I just want to make the point about how it matters that JFK, the last president to be assassinated, today would have been his 107th birthday. This is a shooting number. Almost every week in the national news, there's a somewhat big story on a Saturday of a shooting somewhere in the country. Almost every single Saturday. Saturday's the day of the week that has that gematria 107. With regards to Trump, remember, he was number 45, but Grover Cleveland had a split term. He was number 22 and number 24, and Grover Cleveland messed up the count. So Grover Cleveland was the 24th president, but only the 23rd person to be president. Well, technically the 22nd and 23rd person. So anyway, the count got messed up ever since. So For example, Obama was number 44, but he was the 43rd person to be president. Trump was number 45, but the 44th person to be president. Trump has that 44 connection. He accused Obama of being born in Africa, and it was called the birther conspiracy. Birther has that gematria 44, like Joe Biden, who's the sitting president, who was the wingman to number 44. Just like how Mike Pence equals 45, and he was the wingman to number 45, Biden. But anyhow, Trump does have this 44 connected to him, just like how, again, JFK was the 44th term U.S. president. Again, some presidents have more than one term. That's how JFK ended up being the 44th term. Now, remember, when Trump first appeared in this courtroom, he appeared in court last year in the spring, 2023, and he appeared there on April 4th, the day in history that the first president died in office, William Henry Harrison. Not only did he appear there on 4/4, but he appeared there on what would have been Heath Ledger's 44th birthday, while Stormy Daniels was 44 years old. Let's not forget that either. But they made a point that the courtroom where this went down at and where it's going on right now is Trump appeared there right after they filmed the latest scenes of Joker there, and Heath Ledger died while playing the Joker. So Trump appears in court on Heath Ledger's would have been 44th birthday on 4/4. Man who died while filming in the latest Batman movie when Trump has referred to himself as Batman many times. Remember, Bruce Wayne equals 45, the rich billionaire. Donald Trump, number 45, but the 44th person to be prez. Okay. Now, with regards to them filming the Hollywood movie Joker at the same courtroom days before Trump shows up there on Heath Ledger's birthday, remember in Gematria, Hollywood, Alvin Bragg, Donald Trump, indictment, they all equal the same thing, 48. And then you run it the other way, Alvin Bragg, Donald Trump, indictment, they all equal 60. The 60th U.S. presidential election upcoming. You might recall back when he was running the first time, Trump was compared to George Wallace. The media was comparing Trump to George Wallace, who was assassinated on the campaign trail by, again, Arthur Bradner, who's the main inspiration for Taxi Driver, played by De Niro. We're going to get to everything that's interesting about the George Wallace assassination. But one thing that definitely stands out right now a lot is the name George Wallace in Gematria equates to 60. George Wallace equals 60. Again, the 1860 election, the 1960 election gave us Lincoln and Kennedy, who were both assassinated. So this is an ongoing storyline. And right now it's like, are they trying to tell us this is going to happen before the election, like in 1968, what happened to RFK? Or are they trying to tell us this is going to happen after the election? I'm still trying to put all these pieces of the puzzle together, and we've been looking at them for all these years. But anyhow, again, something is being foretold. Just the detective work has to connect the dots just right to see it all the way through. But it's becoming more clear. Again, all these years of all these storylines are finally starting to make a whole lot of sense. And, like even today is Kennedy's birthday. Today is also John Hinckley's birthday. John Hinckley, a presidential assassin who shot Reagan, has the same birthday as JFK. I mean, go figure, right? I was thinking about bringing in the Skull and Bones piece. I'm going to leave that alone for right now. But yeah, this was from Inauguration Day, January 20th, 2017. Melania, the first to wear baby blue since Jackie Kennedy. Remember the Trump tombstone. That headline. Interestingly enough, I want to go back and see when the Trump tombstone story first broke. It broke on the 87th day of the year in 2016. Anything stand out about that now? That was shortly after we got the first Jesuit Pope, who is now 87 years old, right? And it reminds us that Trump posed with Pope Francis at the Vatican shortly after becoming president on the 144th day of 2017, May 24th, 2017. Again, this year's election, 144 days after his birthday. But it was the 87th day of the leap year that the Trump tombstone story first emerged. I let part of that slip out of my mind. There was something else about the 87. Just so, in case you don't know these things, JFK assassination in Gematria equates to 187, like Washington, D.C., like George Washington, like Holy Roman Empire, like Brotherhood of Death, like Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, like Society of Jesus. 187, very interesting number, also a number connected to homicide. But JFK assassination equals 187. It happened while the country was 187 years old. With regards to Bill Walton just dying by the code, remember, Bill Walton went to UCLA, and we just had that ritual at UCLA where the police came in on the protesters and got pretty violent with them and threw them around and hosed them down. And we were talking about what was interesting about that in light of a number of things, why it mattered that it was 205 days after Gavin Newsom's birthday that they got the anti-Israeli protesters, when Gavin Newsom's this perfect Jesuit pawn who they sync up these major rituals with. Again, Israel is completely a Jesuit creation, and that's completely undeniable when you know what's going on in the world and you understand this Kabbalistic code of letters and numbers and dates and the way everything's being done. But the 187 piece was that the crackdown at UCLA came 187 days before the election, and University of California, Los Angeles is 187. And again, this was a political crackdown, like elections are political, like 187 is a huge number in DC. Back in 2016, we were talking about the importance of Trump having his GOP convention begin on the 18th day of the 7th month, 187 days from Inauguration Day. And again, Washington, D.C., 187, which is Jesuit land. Society of Jesus, 187. It's also Scottish Rite of Freemasonry land. Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, 187. Big numbers. But now they've made Bill Walton part of this with his death, who finished his career at the Celtics in 87, whose name equals 87, who dies as the Celtics advance to the finals, synced up with Joe Biden for the latest time, because Joe Biden's Secret Service name is Celtic. Again, John Havlicek, one of the most famous Celtics of all time, died the same day that Joe Biden announced he was running for president. John Havlicek, number 17, died 17 days after his birthday, like how Biden was born on the 17th birthday at RFK, both born on November 20th. And with regards to UCLA, it's Los Angeles, right? That's where RFK was assassinated. Los Angeles. RFK Jr. had the assassination scare last year in Los Angeles, September 16th. Yeah, again, Bill Walton just died at 71, you guys. Celtics equals 71. The Celtics swept the Pacers. Rick Carlisle used to coach, or not coach, he used to play for the Celtics back in 1984, back in the time of Reagan. And again, Carlisle stayed on 71 career wins in the playoffs, getting swept by the Celtics on the day that Bill Walton dies at 71. Bill Walton was part of that UCLA 71-72 championship team, 71-72, just like how he would have turned 72 the day of the election. Like we're always talking about, sports, politics, all scripted together by this Jesuit code. John Wooden, the coach of UCLA for all those championship teams, John Wooden is Mr. 201. Let's not forget, November 5th, Bill Walton's birthday and the day of the election. That's the day in history the Jesuits tried to blow up British Parliament with gunpowder. In terms of political assassinations in history. If you're new here, 72, again, it's a very special number. President Biden equals 72. President Trump 72. Jesuit order 72. There's 72 names of God in Kabbalah. There's 72 demons in the Goetia. Pope Francis became the first Jesuit pope on the 72nd day of the year. The Jesuits, their logo is the sun. The sun moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. With regards to JFK being killed in the 187th year of the nation's existence, his brother RFK was killed in the 192nd year of the nation's existence. And RFK, Joe Biden with the parallels. Remember, Joe Biden's wingman, at the end of last year, his movie came out on Netflix, after it was released in theaters on the anniversary of JFK's assassination. Let's not forget that. There was the world premiere in October, then limited theater release on 11/22, and then it was put out on Netflix on December 8th. Leave the World Behind, where at the end of the movie, if you haven't seen the movie, your former president, the first movie he ever made and put his name on, was about the destruction of America and its end days. As the power's out, as bombs are going off in New York City, it's an apocalyptic scenario. But in the end of the movie, the little girl in the family, she found a home that had the show that she wanted to watch, Friends. Like, there's a whole lot to this, but it shows her in a bunker, in a billionaire's bunker, and on the wall is painted the name Commodus, who's from the fall of, again, Commodus was the leader of Rome at the time of the fall of Rome, and it fell in the year 192 AD. Leave the world behind in Gematria equates to 192. So now realizing how RFK was killed when the country was 192 years old becomes even more interesting. And remember, that was in 1968, the year MLK was killed on 4/4. Barack Obama in Gematria equals 68, like Donald John Trump, like CIA. Arthur Bremer has that 68 in his name as well. That was who the taxi driver De Niro character is modeled after, who shot George Wallace in 72. Okay, let's not forget that President Biden equals 144 in Gematria either, or that Jesuit Georgetown simulated the 2020 election on June 12th, 144 days before the election, that Biden would narrowly win. Trump would say he was cheated, refused to step down, which would lead to a deadly altercation between Americans. Hello, January 6th. Okay. Let me keep going through here. Again, I have some information in this post that I'm just going to skip over. Today is the 150th day of the year, the day that deliberations began. The word Illuminati has the gematria of 150 and 48. And remember, Donald Trump's also 48, so is Alvin Bragg, so is Hollywood. It's possible that if Biden doesn't finish his term, that Trump could become number 48. But Illuminati, 150 and 48 in the base ciphers. Remember, on the Illuminati's birthday this year, May 1st, it was the 248th birthday. The name of that courthouse where the trial is equals 248. The title President Donald Trump equals 248. Remember, they gave Trump a break on the Illuminati's birthday. How nice of him, and he got to campaign that day. And he's been in court like pretty much all the time. Let's not forget that the trial began April 15th, 60 days before Trump's birthday. Donald Trump also equals 60, like the 60th election. And then yesterday, closing arguments, the day that De Niro showed up there, closing arguments exactly 60 weeks after Trump first appeared in court, April 4th, 2023. Again, you run it the other way. Alvin Bragg is 60. Donald Trump and Alvin Bragg indictment, they're all the exact same. 48 forward, 60 in reverse. That's true of Donald Trump, Alvin Bragg, and indictment. But all these 60s for the 60th election, going with Trump's ex-wife falling down the stairs and dying 60 weeks into the Jesuit Nation year. And again, George Wallace, 60, that's who Arthur Bremer shot, who De Niro portrayed in Taxi Driver. Again, that's who his character is inspired by, at least. So just think about it. Think about De Niro being there on that day, that perfect 60 ritual. But yes, this Illuminati card game, the literal Illuminati ritual with this trial, last year on 24/8, the 24th of August, the Trump mugshot in Atlanta, how all these things connected, how Pluto has a 248-year orbital cycle, and Pluto is the root word of plutocracy, which is rich, a rich ruling class. Plutocracy is essentially rule by the rich, rule by the rich. And you think about Donald Trump, this billionaire born with a silver spoon in his mouth, who showed just how out of touch he was years ago when he said his dad only gave him $1 million when he graduated from high school back in the early 60s. Again, Trump started at Fordham in 64. His dad, by the time he was at Jesuit Fordham, his dad had already given him $1 million. And to quote Trump, he said, it was only $1 million. How much is $1 million in 1963, 64-ish? By the way, Trump was getting it out of high school when JFK was assassinated. But yeah, that's what he said. He said it was only $1 million. I mean, $1 million from back then, probably, I don't know. I don't even want to have to see what it is. It's probably like over $10 million today. It's probably more than that. It's probably $20 million. I'll have to check. A lot of inflation since the 60s. I know my mom bought her first house in Portland in the early 70s for about $5,000. I guarantee you that house today is probably worth $500,000. She might be out there. She's like, no, Zach, it was $10,000. Okay, whatever it was. It was like such a small amount of money. Like you couldn't even get your driveway fixed if it had a crack in it today for that amount of money is the point. If you bought a new house and had a big crack in the driveway, they'd charge you $10,000 just to fix the crack. Back then, you could get the whole house and the driveway, crack or not. Anyhow, these things aren't an accident, you guys. This stuff was planned out long ago. It's just like when Oprah interviewed Trump in 1988. Remember, Trump equals 88, like the Republican Party. Oprah equals 58. Oprah Winfrey also equals 58. Big way, small way. Trump goes on to win the 58th election, announcing from the 58-story Trump Tower. But he was interviewed about that in the 80s, 28 years before the 2016 election. Things planned long in advance. Chosen actors on the world stage. Trump runs on mega like Reagan. Both men have plenty of Hollywood credits to their name. So yeah, just to give you some deja vu about Trump and George Wallace, they've even been writing about this in the present. I mean, you can go back and find my old posts on my old website from 2016 talking about the articles of Trump and George Wallace, but they've been talking about this even in the more recent time. And George Wallace, he was shot on May 15th, 1972. That's Mercuralia. Remember, they had that weird ritual with RFK. And we said, watch, there's going to be some like political assassination type story on Mercuralia this year. And then sure enough, it was. It was a politician in the Eastern Bloc of Europe got assassinated that day. And we'd said that the week earlier, how the Wednesday before Mercuralia, they had a story about RFK having a worm in his brain. You know, worms will put holes like bullets. But also he had mercury poisoning. We said, oh, this is weird. One Wednesday before Mercuralia. There's something about assassination coming up here. And then sure enough, political assassination. Well, funny enough, George Wallace was shot on Mercuralia back in 1972. That was 48 years to the day of Trump declaring Operation Warp Speed. Call that a different type of shooting thing, a different type of shots with Operation Warp Speed. But George Wallace ended up dying at age 79. Isn't that interesting? Society of Jesus, 79. Murder, 79. Trump's going to turn 78. If he gets reelected, he'll turn 79 in the first year of his second term. It's interesting that George Wallace died on September 13th. You know how that article about the from the Daily Mail about the Trump Illuminati card game foreshadows his assassination that we began the stream looking at? Remember that came out on February 13th. It just reminds me how the Tupac album, All Eyes on Me, came out February 13th, 213, and then he died 213 days later on September 13th. And then they put out the album with the hit song, Hail Mary, You Can't Get Any More Catholic, with him on the cross like Jesus on Remember, the 5th of November, the Jesuit Day, Guy Fawkes Day. Machiavelli, named after Machiavelli, Italian. The man who faked his death. But yeah, George Wallace died on September 13th. That day can be written 13/9, like 139. Tupac Shakur equals 139, the man who died that day. America equals 139. Freemasonry equals 139. The Bavarian Illuminati equals 139. When they took out Tony Soprano and Frank from The Sopranos, it was a big 139 ritual in both cases. Let's not forget Sopranos equals 99, and it came out on Jesuit-run HBO in 99, and then Tony Soprano dropped dead 99 days after we got the first ever Jesuit Pope, and he died in Italy. Again, just to remind who's doing all these things, everything ends up pointing back to the Jesuits. Keep in mind George Wallace, who they've compared Trump to. He was the 45th governor of Alabama. Donald Trump, number 45, compared to George Wallace. They were making that comparison before Trump even became president. His full name, George Corley Wallace Jr., equals 220. Donald John Trump equals 220. Inauguration Day is always 220 days after Trump's birthday. And in a non-leap year, August 8th is the 220th day of the year. Trump has had a lot of rituals on August 8th. It was one of his biggest days when he was campaigning. He announced his tax plan, a whole bunch of stuff. The Mar-a-Lago raid more recently happened on 8/8. Again, Trump equals 88. But in a leap year, it becomes August 7th. That's the 220th day of the year. You might recall, what was it? Was it last year or two? God, time's flying. It was either last year or 2 years ago. Remember how Trump did I think it was last year. It was last year. Trump did actually, shoot, I can't. My mind is torn. Trump did a campaign speech in Alabama. He spoke in Alabama at Building 201, let's not forget. And then right after he left town the next day, there was the riverfront brawl in Alabama, and it looked highly racial. Do you remember this? As they try to instigate the latest Civil War, January 6th on. The media about that riverfront brawl got so much attention on August 7th. So this year, that'll be the 220th day of the year, which is interesting. Here, I'm sure you guys remember the riverfront brawl story. They made it all about race. And yeah, they just done a big ritual in the start of that year in Selma, Alabama with 87. But I'm sure just right here that jogs your memory if you'd forgotten this storyline. I know a lot of us got the contagion, the United States of amnesia. Okay. But yeah, in light of George Wallace being shot on Trump's Operation Warp Speed thing, I mean that could be the way they could that could be like a storyline that they give for us. The person who shoots Trump is like some RFK Jr. anti-vaxxer who wanted to take Trump down for being the father of the shot. You know what I mean? They could go so many different ways for their planned psyop that no doubt is coming for their next big divisive political move. Remember, little Jesuit boy Bill Maher, he's been saying since January 6th, he said January 6th is the 93 World Trade Center bombing, and the next election will be 9/11, and that's this one upcoming. Notice how George Wallace is 60, like we said, for the 60th election forwards, and in reverse, it's 66. Robert Kennedy is also 66. Robert Kennedy, who died in 68, died on June 6th. Sirhan is also 66. So yeah, just all these little stories, and De Niro's one of them too. Again, it's just so obvious that again, De Niro was out there yesterday, 81 days before his 81st birthday. President Biden and President Trump both have the 81 connection. Ritual has the 81 connection. Again, Biden supposedly got a record 81 million votes. Joe Biden from Scranton, Pennsylvania on Interstate 81. Remember, before that election, Obama endorsed 81 candidates on August 1st, 8-1. Just 81 overload. And with regards to taxi driver, in the 4-base ciphers, notice the 130 and 140 like Washington, 58 like Trump with his huge ritual winning the 58th election, and then again also 68 like the year of those assassinations. Going with Donald John Trump, CIA. Okay. just to go back down memory lane, this is from 2023 when Trump was back in court with the 34 charges. Actually, I pulled up the wrong post here. This is the one I wanted to show you. The 34 charges, you guys. The Hush Money trial. Hush Money's 34, like Stormy, like April. It happened during the time of Passover, just like how this year they had the Passover thing going on. The market hit 34,000 in the time of Passover last year, if you recall. On the last day of Passover, it hit 34,000, the market. But again, these things are not an accident. There's actually a relationship with the numbers 34 and the number 45 through mathematics. Donald Trump being number 45 with all these 34s on the charges. 34 is the 9th Fibonacci number, and 45 is the 9th triangular number. And Trump has that old ad from before he was president talking to Digital Sheep saying, looking good, number 9, looking good. And he's talking to Sheep 11 and 9, and then eventually he was called president-elect on November 9th in 2016, and that was for CERTA, and CERTA equals 63, and 2016 is the 63rd triangular number. Berlin Wall equals 45 forward, 63 in reverse, and again, Trump was called president-elect, the 45th president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Again, just all this perfect theater for the perfect stooge by the numbers. Trump compared himself to Jesus Christ also after this whole indictment with the 34 charges. Jesus, church, cross, they all have the 34 as well. You know, Jesus, cross, church. And again, the Fibonacci numbers are said to be the numbers of God, so it kind of makes sense for that to be coded in Jesus' name. Trump, this is before the renaming of Twitter into X. The judge told him not to tweet about it. Twitter's got the 34. Twitter, Passover, Hush Money all got the 115, reminding us that Trump took office with the 115th Congress back when he won in this year's elections on November 5th. And remember, the first caucus this year was the Iowa caucus on January 15th, 115, and Trump supposedly got 56% of the vote. Like November 5th leaves 56 days left in the year, like Society of Jesus is 56, like it's 56 years since 1968, the year of all those assassinations, like how 2020, the year of the 56 virus, was 56 years after Trump's Jesuit education began. Here's the Bruce Wayne thing. Yeah, you know, the Batman 51 thing goes with May 1st and Trump getting the break on the Illuminati's birthday. Yeah. Yeah, by the way, Skull and Bones equals 149. Closing arguments were on the 149th day of the leap year. Remember, in the 33rd episode of the old Batman TV show, the original, in the 33rd episode, there's commentary about how Bruce Wayne's grandfather founded Yale's Skull and Bones. And again, they get their symbolism from the Templars, and the Templar logo, or the Jesuit logo has the Templar cross, where all these things fit together. In the last Batman movie that released, if you've seen the last Batman movie that released, what day does the Joker attack Gotham? He attacks it November 5th, the day of this year's upcoming election. The last Batman movie to come out, November 5th, is the day the Joker hits New York City. By the way, the day Trump appeared in court last year, April 4th, Heath Ledger's 44th birthday. That's also the day leaving 271 days left in the year, which is the 58th prime. Just going with this larger pattern of 58, which also factors in with Taxi Driver, as we just saw, with De Niro being out there. Remember, Freemasonry equals 58, Rosicrucian 58, Secret Society 58. King James was a Freemason and Rosicrucian, dropped dead at 58. Remember, Trump even put out his own version of the Bible for this election. The word holy is 60, like Donald Trump, the Donald Trump Bible they put out. I got to go back and look at that. There was a big old ritual with that as well. Oh, man, the Donald Trump Bible. Unbelievable. Yeah, so again, just in terms of where the big show could go down, I do have LA circled as a possible spot. Could make a lot of sense in light of RFK's history. And again, the very by the numbers police crackdown of UCLA, and now Bill Walton becoming part of this narrative, the UCLA great who just died in tribute to the Celtics. And at the same time, Joe Celtic Biden, again, that is his Secret Service name. And we've been talking about all of the rituals going on with Joe Biden and Celtic for a long time. Case in point, 2 years ago, 2022, the 144th day of the year, the mass shooting at Uvalde, a week after the mass shooting in Buffalo. And the mass shooting in Buffalo was 144 days after the death anniversary of Peter Canisius, which is the Jesuit University in Buffalo. It's named after him. Canisius College, right down the street, just blocks from the tops. You can walk there in minutes. 144 days after his death anniversary, the big ritual in Buffalo, and then just days later, the 144th day of the year, the mass shooting in Texas at Uvalde. And then remember, Joe Biden waited to go down to Texas to talk about it until JFK's birthday. He was there on this day in 2022, May 29th. JFK killed in Texas. And just all these things are all rituals built into a climax. 68, there were multiple assassinations. Could it be similar this year, 56 years later? But yeah, the crackdown at UCLA was on May 2nd, 5-2. California, 52. Government, you want to add to that list? President, White House authority. It's a big one, 52. But of course, Gavin Newsom. It was 205 days after his birthday. The police cracked down violently on the anti-Israel protesters. Israel has the 205 connection. Again, the reason modern day Israel is where it is because of the Catholic Church and the history of the Templars, who used Temple Mount as their headquarters. Knights Templar has that 205, like United Kingdom, which had control of modern day Israel before it was handed over to become the Jewish state. That whole process in the World Wars, Balfour Declaration, and all that didn't happen overnight. Catholic Jesuit fingerprints all over the whole thing. State of Israel 201. The Balfour Declaration made out to a Rothschild who ends up dying on the 201st day of his age. This year, a Rothschild dead at 87, perfectly synced with the Pope's 87th birthday. Okay, so yeah, I know somewhere this UCLA storyline is fitting in. We'll see where it takes us. But right now, we got up the board on the wall with all the red Kabbalah threads connecting it all, trying to figure it out. Again, Bill Walton, dead from cancer at 71, so they told us. The day that former Celtic, now coach of the Pacers, stayed on 71 career postseason losses and fell to 26-26 with the Pacers in the playoffs. As Jason Tatum took 26 shots and had 26 points, and the camera all game stayed glued on Drew Holiday, who played at UCLA, and it was a holiday. And he closed out the game with a monster offensive rebound, which is what Bill Walton was known for, just the board machine. You couldn't keep him off the glass. Scripts. But yeah, it was also the 351st day of Holiday's age, the 26th triangular number, going with Bill Walton's cancer death. And again, here's Carlisle's stats. He became 71-79 in the postseason, 26-26 with the Pacers. Bill Walton III, dead on typically the 147th day of the year, 204 days after his birthday, while the Pope's 87, and then the finals will begin on 6-6, which will be the Celtics' 78th birthday, which is perfect for the 78th NBA championship, when the only NBA team in the league that equals 78. Their full name is Boston Celtics, which is why we had them before the season began as the most likely team to be in the finals this year, right where they are. And again, Joe Biden, Secret Service name Celtic, took office at age 78. Now his foe, Trump, about to turn 78. Getting 78 cards in the tarot deck. Trump, when he was running the first time, the big hit show was House of Cards. You can see the overlap with Walton in Boston. Not an accident. That's why he becomes the big sacrifice for the team. So, yeah, just to remind, the trial began April 15th. Oh, by the way, Stormy Daniels is another 78. So is Cleveland. Trump's trying to become the nation's second split-term president. The only one ever was Grover Cleveland. Trump had his first convention in 2016 in Cleveland. Remember, he won it in the Cavs stadium, and then the Cavs went on to win the finals on the real King James's birthday. Then in 2020, LeBron became 4-6 in finals, like the most infamous psalm in the King James Bible, Psalm 46, because the 46th word from the front is shake, and the 46th word from the back is spear. And he becomes 4-6. Then Biden is elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, inaugurated on the Pope's 35th day of his age as the nation's second Catholic president, when the first was number 35, killed at 46 on Interstate 35. Catholic equals 35 and 46. Biden is number 46. Trump's born in 46. RFK, the initials are 46. Stormy Daniels, 45 right now. She'll turn 46 next year on March 17th. Remember, she was up on the stand on her 45th day of being 45 years old. Perfect ritual. All theater by the numbers. Again, Manhattan Criminal Court, where they are 248, like President Donald Trump is 248. Again, on the Illuminati's 248th birthday, Trump gets a break from court. Donald Trump literally equals Illuminati. His face is literally in the Illuminati card game. Pluto with the 248-year orbital cycle, plutocracy, rich ruling. Again, here's your 48 list. Hollywood, Illuminati, Freemason, Donald Trump, indictment, Alvin Bragg, all 48. And literally, same courtroom where they just shot the Hollywood Joker movie. The jokes are monumental. Okay, so tomorrow will be Thursday will be the 201st day of the Superior General's age. Friday will be 201 days after his birthday. Personally, the Friday looks a little bit more interesting to me because it's also the 152nd day of the year. Remember, President Biden equals 152. And when Biden took office, it just so happened that President's Day that year in 2021 fell on 15/2, the 46th day of the year. Also, Friday, May 31st, leaves 214 days left in the year. Remember, Church of Satan equals 214, and we know that's not an accident. The highest degree of the Church of Satan is mega. Donald Trump, Obama joked that he'd be the 45th president on the Church of Satan's 45th birthday, April 30th, 2011, which was 45 days before Trump's birthday. The same Obama who did the show with LeBron, where they both laughed so hard about selling their souls. And then more recently, LeBron, spoke real clearly to JJ Redick that if you want to have a long career in sports, you got to sacrifice your loved ones. And then JJ Redick had a alarmed response, and LeBron doubled down and said the exact same statement right back. Yes, you must sacrifice your loved ones. And we're talking about guys in even higher positions on the world stage who've given up countless family members and the same repetitive 201 number rituals. And then there's been some other ones too, like when Trump's brother died the other year on August 15th, the Jesuit order's birthday. But nothing was as blatant as his wife getting buried on the 201st day of the year after dying exactly 60 weeks into the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year, which began on Cannonball Day. And then Judge Eileen Cannon wanted Trump in court on Cannonball Day. Now they got Eileen Cannon back in here at the news at the same time that all this is going on, when Cannonball Day is to remember the shooting of Ignatius Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, the original 201. Okay, so yeah, will they find a reason to extend it all the way into Friday? And you heard what Trump and the Fox News people said tonight, if you're paying attention to the news, about how they're just figuring out more ways to string this out to keep Trump in court so he can't be campaigning. So imagine if tomorrow's just another day of the jury's still confused. They need more instructions. They need this repeated. I mean, that's the way the news could be tomorrow. Just another headache day in court. Everything's so confusing and unclear. Nobody knows. That they're saying that's the problem right now is the jury's like uncertain exactly what it's about. Like, wait, what are we in here for? What did he do? Again, the main thing is that supposedly he used the campaign political money for hush money. They're trying to draw that parallel that's the great offense here. And it's funny. Even up on the front page, they have this thing about Elvis's estate. Let's not forget what they did to his daughter. R.I.P. to his daughter. Remember, she died right after at the Golden Globes. The actor won Best Actor for portraying her father. Golden Globes equals 54. She died days later at 54. Jesuit order equals 54. Son equals 54. Elvis's first concert in 1954. Elvis recorded at Sun Record Studios. Okay. I don't even know what to do about that headline up at the top. U.S. and allies arrest alleged cybercrime ringleader and seize millions in sports cars in major COVID-19 fraud bust. Oh, boy. Let's not forget what that was simulated with. Old Event 201. By the way, if you want to look up the name of Elvis's girlfriend the day he died, the name of that woman who was with Elvis when he died, her name is 201. Fits right in there with Tom Hanks getting the virus while filming the Elvis movie. And then him doing the tweet about how he's doing just fine. He's losing to his wife by 201 points in gin rummy. Again, Elvis got the polio jab on live TV back in 56 on Bill Gates' first birthday. Bill Gates is Mr. 201, formerly married to Jesuit Melinda. Oh, man. Just all these actors on the world stage, all with the same connections. Okay, Sam Alito, of course, Jesuit educated, just like pretty much everyone on the Supreme Court right now. They just been doing all kinds of stuff with Sam Alito. The whole overturning of Roe v. Wade, which was a major 201 ritual. It was all the memo leak through Sam Alito. Remember the memo leak on the 122nd day of the year when abortion equals 122 and Roe versus Wade was decided on January 22nd, 122 days after Jane Roe's birthday. But Sam Alito, all these stories emerging right now that just nobody heard about for all this time, but now supposedly from the time of January 6th at multiple properties, he was flying different flags. He was flying the U.S. flag upside down, which is a Mayday symbol, the country's in distress symbol. He was flying the what's this heaven flag? It's escaping me right now. But notice his name, Samuel Alito Jr., 87, just like almost everything going on this year is while the Pope is 87, has an 87 connection. And today's news about how he won't recuse himself comes 58 days after his birthday or on his 59th day of his age. Either way, 58, 59. Remember, Freemasonry equals 58 and 59, just like Pope Francis equals 58 and 59. Again, Pope Francis became a Jesuit in 1958. Benedict stepped down on the 59th day of the year for him. They said synced up the 59th election with the Pope 46 weeks after his birthday. Joe Biden elected number 46 when Catholic equals 46. John F. Kennedy equals 59. This Alito story on Kennedy's birthday. They're both Catholics. In light of it being 58 days after his birthday, George W. Bush equals 58 the small way. Bush the big way equals 58. And you might recall Hollywood made a movie of Bush getting assassinated. If you guys didn't know that, go back and look that up. They used real news footage, but then used the editing techniques of the time to make it look like he got assassinated. I think it was called The Death of a President. It was a weird movie that they put out. But the reason I'm bringing Bush up is because Alito was picked by Bush in 2006, 18 years ago. IHS, the Jesuit acronym, is 18. Bush won the 54th election the first time. Of course, the Jesuits, their headquarters at the House of the Jesu or the Church of the Jesu, Building 54. Notice Sam Alito was picked by Bush on Halloween, day in history, the day in history Martin Luther penned the 95 Theses, which brought about the Jesuits 201 months later. That day, though, leaves 61 days left in the year. Think about January 6th. The majority of the world writes that date 6/1, like 61, the day the Confederate flag flew through the Capitol. The Civil War began in 1861. Again, they're talking about how the flag that Alito flew, it first flew in the time of the Revolutionary War. And in a sense, you had people from their own native land fighting against each other in the Revolutionary War. The European settlers versus the Europeans who wanted to hang on and keep America as theirs, which they did. Again, that's the whole fake history that we ever got free from them. No, we didn't. We did not get free at all on July 4th. It's been the United Kingdom ever since. The United Kingdom controlled by the Catholic Church. The sun never sits on Britain. The Catholic Church is all about the sun. They just put a new name on it, a new label, a little bit different flag over here. Same color scheme with the flags, a little bit different design over here. How many people got the red, white, and blue flags? And again, the whole thing about red and blue, I'm quite certain that where it comes from is just humanity. You look at your veins are blue, right? Inside your body, your blood is blue, but it's the second it's exposed to air, it turns red. So, they're always associating the flag with warfare and a lot of blood and warfare, but I'm pretty sure that's where that red and blue comes from. Blood. And a lot of these things are bloodlines, and people who get in the way and don't get on board with the plan, they end up in a bloody pile and whatnot. But yeah, he was picked on the day, leaving 61 days left in the year with Sam Alito. And now all this January 6/1 stuff they're connecting him to. And remember, with regards to D.C., Washington, D.C. equals 61. So does church. So does Christian. So does Christmas. So does cross. So does Jesus. Which makes sense because gematria means geometry and language. And in sacred geometry, the shape that represents God is the flower of life made out of 61 overlapping circles. When you run it the other way, Jesus and cross are 74 instead of 61. Sam Alito is 74 years old right now. D.C. known as the Masonic City. Masonic 74. Modern Freemasonry, again, a Jesuit creation. Lincoln blamed the Civil War on the Jesuits. So we'll see where they go with this Alito thing. John Grisham. Remember years ago when Antonin Scalia died in the huge Roman Catholic ritual? Antonin Scalia equals 132 and 219, just like Roman Catholic. He dies on 13/2, and then his body lays in repose on February 19th, 219 at the Supreme Court. Dead on the 44th day of the year in the time of number 44. And then the Democrats couldn't get in a Supreme Court justice, but then Trump got in Neil McGill Gorsuch by the numbers, perfectly synced with Scalia's death, his first of 3 Supreme Court justices. Remember, he got sworn in April 7th, and then they had to swear in Biden's first Supreme Court justice on April 7th, 4-7, like judges 47, like gavel, like obey, like president, like White House, like government, like authority, like Republican, like Democrat, like even the letters DC alone. All right, but yeah, this Alito thing, we'll see where it's going. But man, his number keeps getting pulled in all the biggest rituals going on with the court right now. And yeah, so anyhow, though, it stood out to me that he was picked on the day, leaving 61 days left in the year, in light of how they're making him the whipping boy for January 6th right now. All right, other stuff that's in the news. Did you see that Scotty Scheffler, all the charges against him were dropped today? Today is exactly 45 days after he won the Masters. Congrats to us. We nailed it again, the Masters this year. Augusta equals 45 like green jacket. Remember the earthquake on Trump's golf course on April 5th, 4-5? Remember, that earthquake was exactly 88 weeks after the first ever pro tournament was played at that course, and right before the 88th Masters. Scotty Scheffler equals 88 like Trump. Scotty Scheffler's from New Jersey, right by where that course is. And then Scotty Scheffler, again, went on to win that Masters, synced with the earthquake. And who else we like to finish high, but right there with Scheffler, was the young Swede who was a rookie in the tournament, who finished in second. The reason we liked him is because he had the connection to Henrik Stenson, who won the first ever pro tournament at Trump's course. And it was literally Henrik Stenson's birthday the day of the earthquake. And don't forget that the words energy and weapon both equal 88 because in light of Trump winning the 58th election after announcing from the 58-story Trump Tower, that course opened while Trump was 58 years old. Nuclear weapon also equals 58 in gematria. Again, I'm pretty sure when they were working on that course, they must have planted something under the course that was just waiting for the future planned ritual, the big quake. Biggest, what'd they say? Biggest since 1840? They said it like it shook. What was the town called? Like White House, New Jersey? But yeah, again, we talked about all this stuff before it happened, okay? So don't be saying it's all hindsight because we had it before it happened. We had Scheffler as the top narrative to win. We had the young Swede in there with the Henrik Stenson connection to finish up in the top three. And we thought one of the two Japanese golfers would also be up there. And it ended up being Morikawa, who again, we had all these things circled before the tournament began. And the reason we knew it was going to be one of the two Japanese golfers is because they've already synced those guys up with Hiroshima and Nagasaki on the tournament, which we've documented in years past. And what year did that happen? 45. Again, these things aren't an accident, you guys. Shortly before that, you just had the Oscars. Then, the movie won top honors about the big bomb, rumors of World War, all these little storylines they got going on right now. But you learn the code and you pay attention, you start to see how it's all scripted together. The rig sports, the rig news, the rig politics. Today's the 120th day of what would be Jackie Robinson's age. It's the 120th baseball season. And today the MLB decides to incorporate the Negro League statistics on the 150th day of the year in the 120th season on what would be 120th day of Jackie's age. Illuminati equals 120 and 150. So you know who's playing with black history. Like we haven't proven that a million times. Again, the Jesuits are the Illuminati. A Jesuit founded the Illuminati. I was thinking about something with Diddy's bad year. And again, we predicted this before he turned 54, how it'd be a rough year for him when he turned 54. Days into turning 54, it got rough right away. But all of these rituals with Diddy, Bad Boy Records equals 59 forwards and 76 in reverse. Just like Slave, Negro, Rasta Blues, they all equal 59 and 76. Barack Obama equals 76. His Secret Service name Renegade equals 59. Black History Month recognized by the feds in 76. Black History Month ends on the 59th day of the year. With regards to the 59-76 thing with Bad Boy Records, Diddy's label, you know how they're putting out this new Bad Boys movie and it comes out on the 7th of June? That date can be written 7-6. Martin Lawrence is 59 years old right now from Detroit, where Motown came out in 59. And his wingman in that movie is Will Smith, who's also a part of, the rap industry. He has a much different image than Diddy. However, they've tarnished Will Smith's image with what they did when he won Best Actor. Again, sadly, Sidney Poitier died at age 94, as we predicted he would. He was the first black actor to win Best Actor in the 94-minute film. What's it called? Lilies of the Field? Cannot think of the name of that movie right now. But the one movie where he saves the Catholic nuns in Arizona runs 94 minutes. Then he dies at 94, perfectly synced with Will Smith, who wins Best Actor at the 94th Academies, and then gets suspended for a decade for the stage slapping ritual with Chris Rock. Anyhow, today, as Trump's court case is winding down, and let's not forget what they just did to OJ. OJ dead at 76, 59 days after the Super Bowl, like Ephesians 6, verses 5-9. Slaves, obey your masters. They announce OJ dead as the masters is teeing off that Scheffler wins. But anyway, his courtroom saga, not to mention they found the crime scene for OJ on the day, leaving 201 days left in the year. But right as the Trump one's winding down, it looks like they're about to gear up a big one for Diddy. I mean, and again, it's just so obvious how the Jesuits are maintaining this whole stage. You know what I mean? One show's about to end, and the next one's coming into the theater. New York versus Trump almost over. Here comes Lil Rod. That's his new nickname, right? Or Lil Rod's one of the accusers. But again, they just had the headline 201 days after his birthday that his accuser said he had a small penis. I mean, come on, man. That's what's in the news 201 days after Diddy's birthday, after the Lil Rod accusations. Now it's a woman accuser saying he has a little penis. She said it was an adolescent in length and width. It's short and skinny. Oh, poor Diddy. He's probably like in the room. He's like, it's not even true. These headlines aren't even true. Why are they doing this to me? Yeah. So anyway, just wanted to try and catch up on nearly the last 10 years of coverage of this building storyline, this ongoing drama that's still coming to a big climax. And oh, by the way, this is also in the news right now. Iron Butterfly founding member Doug Ingle with the big famous song Inagata Davida, dead at 78. Again, Trump's about to turn 78, right? So I had to go back and look at when this album came out. You're not going to believe it. Notice how he died on what's typically the 144th day of the year. But look at what day the album came out. The album came out on Trump's birthday in 1968. June 14th, 1968, the day Trump turned 22 years old. I mean, isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? And now he just happens to be dead at 78, right before Trump's birthday. I'm going to have to go back and revisit that song and see if there's something more to it. But I just know it's not an accident. Not the way this world stage is controlled. People's numbers come up because their number fits in with the other numbers being used in the latest Kabbalistic spell. Spells and spelling. Magic. Okay. All right. Well, I think those were all the main points I really wanted to make. I hope I made it clear enough. And then really a lot more could be said. If you guys want to go to my old websites, freetofindtruth.blogspot.com, read through my current website, GematriaEffectNews. I have a lot of posts and documentation on all the old stuff with George Wallace and all Arthur Bremer and De Niro and Taxi Driver. I mean, we've been looking at this for a long time now. A long, long time. Shout out to Paula the Kitchen Witch. Thank you again for doing that, Paula. Very nice of you. Shout out to Rick James. Paula beat Rick James. Rick James did another one. And then Markella Scott got in on the action. Thank you for that. I've never seen Markella get on the action. Good to see you out there, Markella. Thank you. She's also a veteran of the community. She's been around for a long time, Markella. Thank you, Markella. And shout out to Daria, who's just always too generous. She said Robert De Niro called Trump supporters as clowns in the Joker film. Thomas Wayne refers to the poor people who sympathized with the Joker as clowns too. By the way, Joaquin Phoenix character name in the Joker, Arthur Fleck. Like Arthur Bremer. Yeah. Yeah, and you know the thing is, I mean, when that last movie came out years ago, Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, we talked about why it mattered that he came out why it came out why he was still 44 years old and how it was synced with Trump. So we've been talking about this Trump and Joker and Batman thing since way before they brought all this together last year with him appearing in the courtroom a week after or days after they filmed the latest Joker scene. It's just everything. That's why, you know, I mean, really. Any critics I haven't done their homework and they haven't been paying attention and they haven't been watching what we've been documenting. I mean, everything we've been talking about has just lined up more and more as time has gone on. And since I pretty much reached the end of what I want to present for now, I'm going to drop a link. If anybody has any information on what I'm talking about, feel free to come in and share a little bit more. Keep this stream going. But yeah, the link has been dropped in the chat. And for the person spamming the chat, can you please stop spamming? It looks like you're trying to be helpful, but it's just too many posts at once. Let somebody else post something. So yeah, I just dropped the link if you can still see it. Hmm. Weird. The I don't know, my chat is not refreshing now. All I see are the spammed posts. Okay. I don't see anybody's comments. I get even my own comments not showing up. Just the Rose Murray spammer comments are everywhere. I don't know what's up with that. Uh, I was watching all the news networks coverage of the trial, and on Fox they were speculating that he could be guilty of some of the charges, and then I think what show was I watching? The Five, and then they were saying that if that happens, Biden should instantly pardon Trump of any charges and say, let's get on with this election. Let's have a fair fight. It's like, well, I guess technically they already had a fair fight, right? In terms of these rigged spectacles back in 2020, and Biden supposedly won. I don't know if this person just spamming a million things, because I cannot see anything in my chat besides their posts. I can't even see my own. Shoot. Could you guys see the link when I dropped it? I dropped the link to join if anybody wants to join. So far, no one's joined. Here, while I give people a chance to join, check out the cover of the major news sites. This story in the middle of CNN's page, I've never seen them put up a story like that before. How CNN utilized AI generated audio from Trump trial. That's a new one. I've never seen them put up an image like that before. More promotion of AI. Gotta love how they put out the Allen Iverson AI statue outside the practice facility, where AI has got the market up through the roof, supposedly. All right, let's see. The news network founded by the Republican Party, Fox News. New Yorkers unload on political process. Let's not forget that New York has Gematria 78 itself. New Yorkers unload on political prosecution of former president, damaging to our country. You know, something I forgot to look up is it came into my head. I forgot to look up when the Taxi Driver movie released. I wonder what day that movie released. February 8th, 1976. So funny, it turned 48 years old this year. Isn't that interesting? Again, Donald Trump 48, Alvin Bragg 48, Indictment 48, Illuminati 48. So it turned 48 this year. That was the 39th day of the year. De Niro was out there yesterday, which was the 149th day of leap year. So De Niro was out there 110 days after the anniversary of the movie. The word president has the 110. He's going after the president 110 days after the anniversary of Taxi Driver. His character name in the movie is Travis Bickle, but again, that character is inspired by Arthur Bremer. Just like how that Purge movie series that came out, the person who made the Purge movie series said it was inspired by Donald Trump. Trump's full name, Donald John Trump, is 76. Like that movie came out in 76. Skull and Bones is 76 and 149, going with De Niro being out there on the 149th day of the year. Okay. Let's see, is the BBC covering it? Hong Kong court convicts 14 democracy activists in biggest security case. Oh, look at this one right here. Who are the 47 democracy activists facing jail in Hong Kong? I mean, you know what else? You know what else I actually heard tonight in the nightly news? The judge got his questions from the jury at 4:07 p.m. So the questions that ended up essentially ending the day because they were too confused, those questions apparently came at 4:07 p.m. local time. If you're new here, it's a big time slogan. What is 47? You know, Trump's running on Agenda 47. Once upon a time, he was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel. Again, government news authority. They're all 47 words. The list goes way beyond that. Very special number. The 47th problem of Euclid studied by the Masons. I mean, from a 68-year-old former opposition lawmaker to a 27-year-old student activist. God. Oh, man. Okay. Well, I'm glad I went to the BBC because I had not heard about that story. For some reason, they might have covered it, but I didn't hear about it today. If you guys missed what we were talking about with Sean Kingston, the Jamaican rapper, just like Biggie's from his ancestors from Jamaica. They raided Sean Kingston's house 201 days after Diddy's birthday, and Diddy's house got raided on the anniversary of Notorious B.I.G.'s Life After Death album. Again, he's of Jamaican ancestry. Both overweight rappers. It's just this 47 thing though, man. Oh boy. I really don't understand how the whole world doesn't know about what we've been teaching for a decade. In the information age, man, everybody should know. Imagine if this was a Tim Pool podcast. We already would have raised like $10,000 in super chats. We'd have enough
Testing, 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 testing. Test, 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 test. What? Testing. Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing. What in the hell? Test, 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 test. Testing, testing, test, 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 test. Okay, I don't know. I know that it got muted a while ago, so I clicked the unmute, and then apparently it was still muted, even though on the screen it showed it wasn't muted anymore. I'm just getting super annoyed, you guys. I don't know what's going on with these platforms. But yeah, no, somebody let me know right away when it got muted, so I unmuted it. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there, you guys. It's just there. I don't. Maybe the phone call. Amy just called in. She was saying thank you to everyone who helped her. That's why I put up her Cash App $ Amy CTC. I thought everyone could hear me at that point because the mute. But this is just too weird. It's too weird, man. All right, yeah, I'm gonna leave it there, you guys. We got all the information out in the beginning. Sorry about the audio problems. It's a recent phenomenon, and yeah, I don't know what it's all about. Yeah, there's just so many weird things. I got a person just spamming on my end, just spamming the chat nonstop. It won't let me block them. It's just big tech, man. They want to sabotage everything. That's what they want to do. All that you're allowed to put on this platform is entertainment and false information. Okay. All right. Thanks again to everyone who supports the work. I was saying, please, if you guys can get on and help out Amy, $ Amy CTC. She's gone through a tough bit lately. Unexpected family tragedy, death, her own health problems. If you can help out Amy, that would be great. If you can help support yours truly, that would also be great. Since I started the cash giveaways on Patreon, for some reason, Patreon's like mass unsubscribing people, so my support's down a lot in the last week. And regardless, we'll just keep persevering. But thank you again to everybody who does hit the like and the share. Thank you to everyone who does support the work. And until next time, Truth Seeker.